5 foods you should never reheat and why your pancreas pays the price. Imagine discovering that something you do every single week in your own kitchen, something you do specifically because you are trying to be practical, trying to save money, trying not to waste food, is quietly and systematically setting the stage for one of the deadliest cancers in the human body, without you having any idea. Does that sound overblown? Unfortunately, it is not. There is a habit that hundreds of millions of people repeat weekly without a moment's thought: reheating leftovers. And the truth about what happens inside 5 very specific foods the second time heat touches them is something most people will live their entire lives without ever being told. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which 5 foods are the most dangerous to reheat, what they chemically transform into inside your body when you press that button, and why that transformation links directly to one of the cancers with the lowest survival rates in all of modern medicine: pancreatic cancer. My name is Dr. Dan Carter, and I'm going to share something today that I believe every person who cooks at home deserves to hear. Because I have sat across from too many patients who received a devastating diagnosis and looked at me and asked, "Why did nobody warn me about this sooner?" I am done staying quiet. Why the pancreas is so vulnerable. Here is what you need to grasp before we begin. Your pancreas never warns you. It does not hurt while it is being damaged. It does not swell. It does not send you a signal as the harm quietly accumulates inside it across months and years of the wrong daily habits. By the time you feel something serious enough to send you to a doctor, the cancer has, in the overwhelming majority of cases, already spread beyond the point where anything meaningful can be done. The 5-year survival rate is below 12%. That number is why everything I am about to lay out matters so much. Because at least 3 of these 5 foods are sitting in your refrigerator right now, at this very moment, waiting to be reheated tonight. Food number 1, reheated fried food. Let me start with the one I guarantee will surprise you most, because it is something the entire health and wellness industry has been pushing you to embrace for the past 2 decades. Picture those crispy golden fries left over from last night, the ones you covered and told yourself you would finish today. That fried chicken you wrapped carefully in foil because tossing it felt wasteful. That spring roll abandoned in the corner of your fridge. What do you do the next day? Most likely you toss it in the microwave. Or, even worse, you heat a splash of fresh oil in a pan to crisp it back up. That is precisely the moment you activate a chemical process inside that food, against which your pancreas has almost no defense. And here is the part nobody talks about. Cooking oils, specifically the ones sitting on most kitchen shelves right now, sunflower oil, corn oil, soybean oil, are highly unstable under heat. When you heat them a second time, they undergo deep oxidative breakdown. That process produces a class of toxic compounds called aldehydes. The 2 most dangerous have names you probably cannot pronounce: 4-hydroxynonenal and malondialdehyde. You do not need to remember the names. You just need to understand what they do inside your body. Free radicals released from reheated oil are like hundreds of sparks flying off an out-of-control fire, each one tiny, flying randomly in every direction, landing on your healthy cells, destroying them from within, including the DNA that tells each cell how to grow, when to stop, and when to die the way it is supposed to. When that code gets corrupted enough times, the cell stops obeying instructions. It starts multiplying when it should not. That is how cancer begins. And here's what frightens me. Your pancreas is one of the organs most susceptible to this specific type of attack. When you consume food loaded with these aldehyde compounds, your body launches a full inflammatory response to try to contain the damage. But if you are eating reheated fried food multiple times a week, and I want you to pause right now and honestly reflect on this, your body never gets to switch that inflammatory response off. A permanently inflamed pancreas is a pancreas trying to do delicate precision work inside a burning building. Every enzyme it attempts to produce, every signal it tries to send, every cell it tries to protect, all of it taking place in a chemical war zone it was never built to survive. Eventually, it cannot keep up. And when it stops keeping up, you do not get a warning, you just get a diagnosis. You may be feeling signs of this right now as you read, and have been explaining them away entirely. A dull heaviness in your upper abdomen after meals that you keep dismissing as overeating. An unexplained fatigue that sets in specifically after eating, which you blame on a long day. A vague discomfort just below your ribs that comes and goes, and that you have been chalking up to poor digestion. It may not be poor digestion. The fix Absolutely non-negotiable. Never reheat fried food in oil. Not fresh oil, not the same oil. Never. Use a dry oven at 180 degrees Celsius or an air fryer. Dry heat brings back the texture without a single drop of new chemical damage. Second rule, frying oil is single use. Fry today, discard today. Because the choice between a bottle of cooking oil and avoiding pancreatic cancer, that is the real trade-off you are making every week without even realizing it. Food number 2, reheated leafy greens. Now brace yourself, because this one will catch you off guard far more than the first. I know this because it is something I myself have recommended to patients for years, something that appears on every superfoods list ever compiled, something every nutrition expert on the planet calls one of the healthiest things you can eat. And when you reheat it, it turns into something it absolutely should not be. Picture a Sunday evening. You cook a beautiful pan of sautéed spinach with garlic and olive oil. Deep green, wilted to perfection. You feel genuinely virtuous. You are being healthy. You are eating your greens. You are doing exactly what you are supposed to do. You stash the leftovers in a container in the fridge. Monday lunchtime, you take them out and microwave them for 90 seconds. They smell the same, look the same, taste the same. And while you are eating, that second round of heat has just triggered a chemical reaction inside that spinach that the World Health Organization has officially linked to cancer risk. Here is what is happening inside that container. All leafy greens, spinach, kale, chard, arugula, every one of them contains naturally occurring compounds called nitrates. Fresh, they are entirely harmless, no issue whatsoever. But once you cook these vegetables and let them sit, bacteria naturally present in the food start converting those innocuous nitrates into something called nitrites. And when you apply heat a second time, those nitrites react with amino acids in the food to form compounds called nitrosamines. Burn that word into your memory, nitrosamines. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies nitrosamines as probable human carcinogens, and they are genotoxic, meaning they go directly inside the nucleus of your cells and damage your DNA, not from the outside, but from within the genetic machinery itself. Think of your DNA as the master blueprint your body uses to build and repair everything. Nitrosamines are like someone breaking into the blueprint room every few days and quietly altering one measurement, erasing one instruction. Your repair systems catch most of it, but not all. Over months and years of repeated exposure, the accumulated corruptions in that blueprint start generating cells that no longer behave the way they should. And here is what is so alarming about your pancreas specifically. Once nitrosamines enter your bloodstream after that reheated spinach, they travel to every organ your blood reaches. The pancreas is repeatedly drafted into the detoxification effort, week after week, bathing in genotoxic compounds while simultaneously being pushed into chronic biochemical stress. The fix: eat your cooked greens cold. Cold cooked spinach in a grain bowl, tossed into a salad, folded into a wrap. Every nutrient is still there. Zero nitrosamine formation because there is no second heating. If you need them warm, cook only what you will eat right now, not a batch for the week, just this meal. And if you absolutely must reheat, do it once and only once. Each additional heating cycle multiplies nitrosamine formation. That is not a metaphor. That is chemistry. Food number 3, reheated rice. Now for the third food. And this one I think will be the most shocking thing I cover today, because it is the most innocent-looking food in existence. No strong flavor, no strong odor, and the danger inside it cannot be detected by any of your senses. Think about the pot of rice you made a few days ago. You made a big batch because it is more efficient that way. You have been reheating portions of it every day. This is completely normal. Every household on the planet does this. And hidden inside that rice, from the moment it stopped cooking and started cooling, a biological process has been quietly unfolding that most people have never once been warned about. I need to introduce you to a bacterium called Bacillus cereus. This organism is present in raw rice from any supermarket anywhere in the world. Cooking destroys the active bacteria, but it does not destroy the spores. A spore is a hardened biological survival capsule that certain bacteria produce specifically to endure conditions that would normally kill them. Boiling water cannot destroy them. Standard cooking temperatures cannot touch them. They sit dormant in your perfectly cooked rice, invisible, undetectable by smell or taste. waiting for the temperature to fall into their ideal multiplication range, which is exactly the temperature of your kitchen counter as that rice cools after cooking. The moment the temperature drops, those spores wake up. They multiply. They produce toxins. And here is the detail that matters most. One of those toxins is heat stable. When you microwave that rice the next day, you do kill the live bacteria. But the toxin they already produced while they were multiplying, your microwave does not touch it. It survives the reheating completely intact and enters your body in full working order. Think of it like this. Imagine a factory producing toxic chemicals in your basement without your knowledge. You discover it and shut it down. You turn off every machine. But the barrels already produced before you shut it down are still sitting there in the warehouse. Your microwave shuts down the factory. But the barrels are already in your bowl and you are about to eat them. Now, the pancreas connection. Repeated low-level exposure to these toxins, even without dramatic full-blown food poisoning each time, creates chronic, low-grade inflammation throughout your gut. And science has clearly mapped what researchers call the gut-pancreas axis. Your gut and your pancreas share blood supply, lymphatic drainage, and inflammatory signaling pathways. A chronically inflamed gut transmits those inflammatory signals directly to your pancreas, every time, without exception. The fix. Cool cooked rice within 1 hour of cooking. Spread it wide and shallow, not piled deep. More surface area means faster cooling, which means less time for those spores to activate. Eat it within 24 hours. Reheat it fully until steaming hot all the way through. Then eat it completely. Do not put it back in the fridge after reheating it once. These are not complicated rules. They are simply rules most people have never been told. Food number 4, reheated chicken. Nearly every family eats this several times a week. And the danger here arises from a specific quirk of one extremely common kitchen appliance that creates invisible pockets inside food, which look perfectly safe from the outside. You made roasted chicken thighs last night, golden, perfectly cooked all the way through. You stored them in a container in the fridge. Today at lunch, you put 2 pieces on a plate, microwave them for 2 minutes, touch the outside, it feels hot, and you eat. This is a completely ordinary Tuesday in millions of homes. And the way that reheating happened, microwave, 2 minutes, touch check on the outside, is exactly where the danger lives. Here is something most people do not realize. A microwave does not heat food the way an oven does. It excites water molecules inside the food to generate heat. But different parts of the same piece of chicken have different water content, different density, different fat distribution. Some parts reach temperatures that kill bacteria. Other parts, just centimeters away, remain at exactly the temperature where bacteria not only survive, but actively multiply. These are called cold spots. You cannot see them. You cannot feel them from the outside. The exterior can be scorching hot, while the center sits at the precise temperature that dangerous bacteria prefer. 2 bacteria make this particularly alarming with chicken: Salmonella and Campylobacter. Both are present in raw poultry at very high rates. Proper initial cooking eliminates them, but recontamination after cooking is entirely possible. On your hands, on the counter, on utensils. And those cold spots in your microwave reheated chicken are not death zones for bacteria. They are warm, moist, protein-rich environments, incubators. A salmonella infection is not a mild afternoon of discomfort. It is a systemic biological event. High fever, violent cramping, sustained vomiting and diarrhea. Your entire immune system mobilized for war. And while that war is being waged in your gut, your pancreas is not sitting on the sidelines. It gets pulled into the inflammatory response every single time. And here is what concerns me most. Full-blown dramatic poisoning is not the only way this damages you. Repeated low doses, too small to knock you completely down, but enough to keep your gut in a state of low-grade chronic inflammation. Those are the exposures that quietly accumulate over years into conditions your pancreas simply cannot escape. Be completely honest with yourself right now. When you reheat chicken, do you verify that it is steaming hot all the way through the thickest part? Or do you touch the outside and assume the inside matches? That gap between assumption and reality is precisely where salmonella lives. The fix? Use the oven. 175 degrees Celsius, covered tightly with foil. 15 to 20 minutes. The trapped, moist heat reaches every portion uniformly. No cold spots anywhere. If you must use a microwave, cut the chicken into small, uniform pieces. Use medium power, not maximum. Stop halfway through and rearrange everything. Then let it rest, covered, for 2 full minutes after heating. Or eat it cold. Cold chicken shredded into a salad eliminates every single risk we just discussed. 0 reheating, 0 cold spots, 0 inflammatory cascade reaching your pancreas. Food number 5, reheated potatoes. Now we have arrived at the 5th and final food. And this one is unique because it carries not one, but 2 completely separate chemical dangers happening simultaneously. 2 different attacks on your pancreas from a single bowl of leftovers. Think about the roasted potatoes from last Sunday. Perfect, golden, crispy outside, fluffy inside. You made a whole tray. Monday evening, you take them out, toss them in a pan with a little oil to crisp them back up, and eat them feeling resourceful. And right now, inside those potatoes, 2 completely independent chemical processes are attacking your pancreas from 2 different angles at the same time. The first attack comes from a compound called acrylamide. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies it as a probable human carcinogen. It forms when starchy foods are exposed to temperatures above 120 degrees Celsius. That golden color you love on a perfectly roasted potato, that crispiness, is the Maillard reaction. And acrylamide forms as part of that very same process. Here is what makes reheated potatoes specifically more hazardous than freshly cooked ones. When a potato is cooked once and then refrigerated, its surface dries out. Sugars and amino acids concentrate on that dry exterior. When you apply high heat a second time, the chemical conditions for acrylamide formation are more favorable than they were during the first cooking. You may be receiving a meaningfully higher carcinogen load from your reheated potatoes than from the original meal. That is attack number 1, direct carcinogenic damage to pancreatic cells. Now, attack number 2. This one wears down your pancreas in a way that compounds silently over years. When potatoes are cooked and then cooled completely in the refrigerator, something remarkable happens. Part of the regular starch inside converts into resistant starch. Resistant starch is genuinely protective. It moderates your blood sugar. It slows glucose absorption. It feeds beneficial gut bacteria. A cold-cooked potato is metabolically a completely different food than a hot one. The moment you reheat that potato at high heat, that resistant starch reverts to regular, rapidly digested starch. The beneficial transformation that took place during cooling is destroyed in 90 seconds in your microwave. What was gentle on your blood sugar is now a spike. And who has to respond to that spike? Your pancreas, specifically the beta cells that produce insulin, forced into a sudden, large, urgent release. Once, completely normal, but 3 times a week, every week for years, those beta cells are being driven into repeated emergency production events. They exhaust. They become less responsive. They degrade. And progressive beta cell exhaustion is a documented pathway toward the chronic conditions that precede pancreatic cancer. 2 attacks at the same time, every single time you reheat those potatoes. And if you refry them in oil, you are stacking the dangers of food number 1 on top of food number 5. Maximum acrylamide, maximum oil oxidation. Every single hazard from this entire conversation concentrated into one dish. The fix. Eat your cooked potatoes cold whenever you possibly can. Cold potato salad with good olive oil, a little vinegar, fresh herbs. It sounds odd until you try it. You preserve all the resistant starch, you eliminate additional acrylamide, and you give your pancreatic beta cells a meal they do not have to fight against. If you need them warm, steam them, or use the lowest heat that just takes the chill off. Warm, not hot. And never, ever refry an already cooked potato. A fresh potato fried once is a completely different chemical event from a cooked potato fried twice. What I want you to take away. We have now covered all 5, and before you close this page, I need to tell you something that matters more than every piece of information we just went through. If you have been doing these things for years, it is not too late. The human body has a capacity for recovery that genuinely humbles me. Chronic inflammation can come down. Damaged cells are constantly being replaced by new ones. The conditions we discussed are not a sentence, they are a starting point. And every better choice you make from this moment forward moves you in the right direction. What I am asking you to carry away today is not fear. Fear paralyzes. What I am asking you to carry is the specific, practical knowledge that lets you make one different choice tonight. When you open that refrigerator, fried food. Reheat it dry in an oven or air fryer, never in oil. Leafy greens, eat them cold or cook only what you need for right now. Rice, cool it fast, refrigerate within the hour, eat it within 24 hours. Chicken, oven, not microwave, or eat it cold. Potatoes, cold whenever you can, or gentle, low heat. Small habits practiced consistently over months and years. Your pancreas has been working for you in complete silence every single day of your life, never once asking for anything in return. Start giving it something back. I am Dr. Dan Carter. Take care of yourselves. I will see you in the next one.